12 wide receivers. That's how many were taken before Baylor's Denzel Mims in the 2020 NFL Draft. And that's odd because I can say for a fact that a player like Chase Claypool or a player like Laviska Shenault were not better wide receivers than Denzel Mims was. Denzel Mims brings a really unique skill set to the team that drafted him, which actually happened to be the New York Jets, which need a wide receiver currently. His unique blend of speed and size will make him a mismatch in the NFL. And in this video, I want to break down all of his 2019 game film from college and see what the New York Jets are actually getting in Denzel Mims. Let's jump right into it. Standing at 6'3" and around 210 pounds, Denzel Mims is a towering wide receiver, and his combination of just pure height as well as his hands makes him a really great wide receiver when it comes to having an insane catch radius. Many times you watch him play and you just see him pluck a ball out of the air that he really has no business doing, whether that be bad throws that were too low to the ground or throws that were literally like 5 feet out of bounds. He can pull these throws in and he can make some fantastic grabs, which is what a team like the New York Jets needs to help boost their third-year quarterback Sam Darnold. Now in this play against Oklahoma, you see his ability to make grabs that are really tough, and like even if the DB is fighting for the ball, he will still come down with it. This ball is just Mims is just running a normal slant here, and the ball is thrown pretty low and away from him, but you see he makes these type of catches where he's catching balls that are pretty far away from his body, and he has really strong hands. You don't really see him drop many balls that often, and what he does here is he literally goes down low, he fights through contact, the DB's hands are on the ball, but the fact that Mims can even bring down this ball and bring it into his body, and the fact that he doesn't drop it is a huge plus, and that's just what you're going to get in Denzel Mims. You're going to get a guy who's going to make these catches, and this is just an example of a ball that's pretty low and pretty poorly thrown, but Denzel Mims can make those type of receptions. Now in this play against Texas, you're going to see something pretty similar to the last play, and this is a catch that you'll probably see as one of the first catches in any Denzel Mims highlight reels that you look up. So it's just a normal out route or comeback route here, and the ball is thrown again pretty far away from his frame, but Denzel Mims can just reach out, jump if he has to, do whatever he has to, and with those strong hands, he pretty much just one-hands this ball and rips it away from the DB, and similar to the last play where it was thrown away from his frame, but he still fought through the contact and was able to catch the ball. And like I said in the last clip, he doesn't really drop the ball that often, and he'll make lots of sideline grabs, and this sideline grab is just an example of many that he made where you're like, oh, he's really good at playing the ball on the sideline, and that's something that will really improve the Jets offense in 2020 and beyond. Now here's another play against Texas, and you're going to see his ability to just stretch out and out jump defenders. Again, he's 6'3", so he's bigger than most DBs. So this is in the end zone, or red zone rather, and it's a touchdown grab. He runs a slant here. He does a nice fake a little bit with his hips and a little stutter step to the left before he cuts it hard into the right. But the more impressive part here, rather than the release or the route itself, is his ability to just jump out there, and he really showcases his catch radius on this play. And Denzel Mims, like the other plays where you saw him playing on the sideline or in the hashes, catching slants, here you can see him transfer all those skills into scoring touchdowns, scoring points for the actual team. And that's really valuable. Denzel Mims can bring that jump ball receiver that the Jets really need after losing Robbie Anderson in free agency. Now, Mims isn't just a one-trick pony. All those contested grabs and those skills that he has in that aspect will help him pretty well in other aspects of football, and those translate really well to his deep ball game. Now, sorry to pick on Texas again, but this play is something that really illustrates his deep ball ability downfield. And when you watch it, it's just a little stutter go where he does a little fake to the inside, which is really subtle, but it does get the DB to sort of stop for a little bit. And Denzel Mims is a really intelligent player, and he realizes what he can get away with and what he can't get away with. So this is essentially a deep ball and double coverage, even though the safety comes down pretty late. But when you look at Denzel Mims, he's tracking the ball the entire time, and it's just a normal go route. So he's doing that little stutter, then boom, up the sideline, and he's tracking the ball the entire time. And right when it gets there, you see him turn around, and he does a little shove almost. And people might say, yeah, that's probably going to be PI in the NFL, but guess what? Players like DeAndre Hopkins get away with that all the time. Players like Julio Jones get away with that all the time. Those little shoves are what make great players because they know what they can get away with. And Denzel Mims does that little shove to give him just that extra tad bit of separation that he needs. And boom, jumps straight up, turns around, grabs that ball right out of the air, comes down with a catch. Both feet inbounds by a huge mile. He does things like that routinely, and just the combination of everything that he does from the start of the route where he does that little subtle fake to give him some separation to the end of his route where he does that little just sort of jab at the end to give him that extra, few inches of separation that he needs to come down with the ball to the actual catch itself where you see him jump up. Everything combined makes him a really good jump ball receiver. Now, finally, moving on from Texas, here's a play against Georgia. And so Denzel Mims, he runs a 4.340, and I don't believe he runs a 4.340 when it comes to pure explosion. You're not going to see him run these crazy Henry Ruggs type of plays where he starts from literally 0 miles per hour and boom, he's exploding, breaking everyone's ankles. You're not going to see Tyreek Hill type of speed here. But on go routes, he has low-key speed where if he's running in a straight line and he has the ability to do a couple shoulder fakes or a couple, jab steps or whatever he has to do to fake some separation, he can gain some decent separation. And he's not a slow player by any means, so he can get the separation here. And on this play, he just flat out runs past DJ Daniel here. He's on the bottom left of the screen, and there isn't much breakdown he can do here. He literally just runs right past him, and he can catch the deep ball right over his shoulder. Again, not much breakdown here, but that's something Denzel Mims brings to the table as well. Now here's another play against Oklahoma. It's a pretty similar play to the last one. He's on the bottom right of the screen here, and Denzel Mims, just before I talk about this play, he pretty much only plays on the outside receiver. And if you're the New York Jets, you don't have an outside receiver right now. So just another thing that Denzel Mims adds. But on this play particularly, he does, right when the ball is snapped, he does a little stutter where he slow plays the ball and then boom, right up the sideline. And again, he does a smart play here near the end of the route, right before the ball gets to him. And he sees the ball coming, boom, he does a nice jab. And you're going to see that type of smart play multiple times in Denzel Mims' film, where he just knocks down the hand. And yeah, people might say it's PI. People might say whatever, it's a foul. Guess what? He's probably going to get away with it because the NFL is an offensive league. So you're going to have to deal with it. And like I said previously, there's tons of smart players, tons of really great receivers who have done that their entire career. And that's why they're really good when it comes to catching deep balls. And again, Denzel Mims has that long speed. He doesn't have that burst, but he does have that long speed where he can run past defenders. And if he needs to, he will do that left-handed or right-handed jab to knock away the defender's hand. And he'll catch deep balls on you all day. So Denzel Mims as a deep threat is something that you need to watch out for. And it's something that he brings to the New York Jets, which is pretty key to developing a great offense. Now, from a technique perspective, Denzel Mims isn't a finished product, but the thing that's really nice to see is that he's improving consistently. And he's not a dumb player. He's actually a very intelligent player, and he will use some of his moves to set up deeper plays later in the game. Now, on this play against Texas again, yes, I'm sorry to pick on Texas fans, but he killed them multiple times. Now, the ball doesn't get thrown to him here, but it's still the technique on this slant that he's about to run is very key to setting up a play later in the game. And the release used on this play by Denzel Mims is called the dead leg release. And pretty much what happens is he's starting off with his left leg in front of him, right? So he'll do a step with his right foot, and that will keep his shoulders level. So he's bringing his right foot to the level of his left foot so that he can either go right or left. He's keeping his shoulders square. And then he does a dead leg step with his right foot. So that puts him slightly in front with his right side. And that turns the defender's hips around. You can see number 23, Jalen Green. His hips are facing the sideline. And that allows Denzel Mims to step inside and pulls off a really strong slant on him. These are the types of routes I'd like to see because these are elite routes. And quarterback Charlie Brewer for Baylor should have definitely thrown this ball here. But even though he didn't, you still see the great talent and the great technique here. He's mastered the dead leg release, and he uses that to set up a deeper shot later in the game. Now, before we move on to the next play, one key thing that Jalen Green here, the defender, did was he put out his right arm and he tried to use that to stop Denzel Mims. And this is key for the next play. Now, this play happens less than 2 minutes after the first play happened, and it's in the same exact position on the field. So it's on the bottom right of the field, and Denzel Mims does a pretty similar release here, but this is closer to a diamond release, where he doesn't really put out that right foot for the second step on the dead leg. He just sort of accelerates downfield. But you can see Jalen Green, he's anticipating that slant yet again. And if you remember on the last play, he jabbed out with his right hand to keep Denzel Mims with him. But on this play, he doesn't because he's still anticipating the slant. And because of that, he gets caught blindsided essentially, and you have Denzel Mims running right downfield. Now, if Jalen Green, the defender here, had put out his hand like he had on the last play, good chance that this isn't a deep shot. And even though Denzel Mims does end up dropping the ball here, it's still a deep opportunity that he had that he wouldn't have had if he probably hadn't run that great slant earlier in the drive. Now, I have to make a separate segment called Sideline for Denzel Mims because he's just so good on the sideline. It's ridiculous. Now, on this play against UTSA, the defender is bailing. You see Denzel Mims, he's on the bottom left side of the screen here. The defender, like I said, is just straight out bailing. He's playing cover 3, and he's completely bailing. Yes, I know I've said bailing 3 times in a row, but that is what he's doing. He's just running away, praying that he doesn't allow a deep ball. And Denzel Mims prays on this, as well as Charlie Brewer, the quarterback, because if the defender is bailing, all you have to do is throw a back shoulder fade. And if the quarterback can do that with enough velocity, boom, you're going to get a great play. And Denzel Mims on the sideline with his combination of speed alone will make him a great deep threat and his ability to make those jump balls. But that combination allows for really great back shoulder fades, and he's just phenomenal on the sideline. He will make a ton of back shoulder fades for the New York Jets in 2020 and beyond. So everything else. So Denzel Mims is a great run blocker. He's a big guy. He's a high effort player. So when it comes to run blocking, you're going to get a really great player who's going to fight through blocks. He will probably block one guy and move on to the next. Like, he is a high energy player, and you're going to see him make some pretty good blocks from the wide receiver position. Now, some of the more negative things about Denzel Mims. His route running, other than those slants and all those deep routes and back shoulder fades, is pretty abysmal. You're not going to see him have that explosiveness that you'd like from other players. Especially on curl routes, he just doesn't have the explosiveness you need. And against physical quarterbacks, he's not getting any separation whatsoever. And that's a huge flaw for him because he's not able to separate. And on those routes, corner routes make up a huge percentage of routes that are probably going to be run in the NFL. And if Denzel Mims can't run corner routes, he can't run those deep in routes with the same explosiveness as another guy like, say, SIDELINE or Jerry Jeudy. And that's going to definitely hold him back, at least earlier in his career. Now, another huge flaw for him is just his lack of explosiveness. And yeah, that works for route running, but that also works for yards after the catch, or YAC. You're not going to see him make a ton of plays where he's catching a ball and boom, just running down the sideline, not getting caught by anybody. He did that a couple times in college, but against NFL athletes, he's not outrunning a lot of players, at least speed-wise. He'll probably outrun them on the deep ball, but he'll end up getting caught from behind. Or if he catches a slant, he's probably not the type of guy you want who's going to take it all the way like a Julio Jones will, or an Odell Beckham. He doesn't have that type of burst that you want. And that's not necessarily a huge bad thing, because when I look at Denzel Mims, I see someone who's a possession receiver. I see someone who's going to be great on the sideline, who's going to be great on the slants, come up with huge plays in the goal line. He's that type of player. He's not the type of player that you draft because you want him to make a Julio Jones slant route and take it to the house. He's not that type of player. So just because he can't have that yak ability doesn't make him a bad player by any means. Now, when I look at Denzel Mims overall, I see a player who, his strengths, he's a great jump ball receiver. He's great down the field. He has a phenomenal catch radius. He's physical. He's smart. His route running, it's not the best right now on certain routes, but the routes he runs well, he runs really well, and he's only improving. Now on the negatives, like I said, he isn't the best route runner. He's not really explosive, and he doesn't have to be that. And when I look at his pro comparison, best case scenario, I see another Michael Thomas. And yeah, people might say that's ludicrous because he's a rookie and, he's not as explosive, whatever you want to say. But Denzel Mims runs a lot of slants like Michael Thomas. He runs them well. He runs lots of back shoulder fades like Michael Thomas. He runs them well. He can out-jump defenders. He can make some crazy contested catches. And I just see a guy who's really consistent. He doesn't drop the ball that often. He has strong, reliable hands. And he's the same size as Michael Thomas as well. And I just think overall, Michael Thomas and Denzel Mims have a lot of things that are similar to them. And the biggest difference right now is the coaching staff around them. And I think we'll see a huge season out of Denzel Mims' rookie year. And you're going to be surprised. And I honestly think you're going to see a video very soon in the future called The 12 Wide Receivers Taken Before Denzel Mims.